excuse me, Shehekeyenu, which means literally the one who has given us life. And in these prayers, you will hear me say, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, many times. And the Hebrew is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. So let us pray. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the world, creator of the fruit of the vine. Blessed are you, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has chosen us from among the peoples, exalting us by hallowing us with the mitzvot. In your love, Adonai, our God, you have given us feasts of gladness and seasons of joy, this festival of Passover, season of our freedom, a sacred occasion, a remembrance of the exodus from Egypt, for you have chosen us from all peoples and consecrated us to your service and given us the festivals, a time of gladness and joy. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who sanctifies Israel and the festivals. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this season. Amen.
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 Thank you, Amy. Doing a quick look, I don't see any visitors or guests other than our speaker today, Dana. Thank you. And if there are any other guests, welcome. Eric Harvey, I believe, is our recorder of the day. Is that correct? Thank you, Eric. Any committee chair announcements? Going once, going twice.
Whoops, I'll just jump in quick. The Literacy Committee has a special meeting this evening at 7 p.m. where we are going to do a practice run of a radio show that we hope to provide for seniors at Heritage. So something new, trying something new. So we're hoping everybody on the committee can make it, and we really look forward to opening up this opportunity to all club members. So we'll keep you posted. Thank you.
Last announcement on my sheet is our club is still in need of a treasurer beginning July 1st. Sorry. Let me or Joni know if you are interested in learning more about serving the club in this way. With that, we'll open it up for any happy bucks. No happiness.
Okay, I'll throw in a happy buck.
Thanks, Diana.
I'll throw in a happy buck because we are going to be going to Love School Tuesday morning to put our book plates in the books that will be distributed on Wednesday to all the children there to take home over their spring break. So thank you to our club for making that possible.
Michelle, are you raising your hand?
I am. I found out this last week that I'm going to be officially a grandmother of a little girl in August. So very excited about that. Yes. So adding a new Jones to the team, or actually she's going to be a Hay. So
yeah, great.
Exciting news.
Great.
All right, well, we'll move along, and Stacy, if you will introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you very much, Dana, for joining us this week. And I would like to share with the club a little bit about yourself. Dana Williams was named principal of Jamestown High School in February 2020 after serving as an interim principal since December 2019. Mr. Williams worked for the Jamestown Public Schools for 11 years as an assistant principal at Jamestown High School and Jefferson Middle School. Prior to coming to JPS, Mr. Williams worked at Randolph Academy Union Free School District, where he was a school and crisis counselor, team leader, and performed administrative duties. Mr. Williams graduated from Jamestown Community College. He received his bachelor's degree at SUNY Brockport in communications, and his master's degree was at St. Bonaventure University in School of Counseling. Mr. Williams also has his New York State Administrative Supervision certificate. Mr. Williams resides in Jamestown with his wife, Barb. They have 2 adult daughters who are both proud graduates of Jamestown High School. Welcome, Mr. Williams.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes. Are you going to share a screen, Dana?
Well, I didn't have anything that I needed to share.
Okay.
So I was just gonna open it up to, to everybody here that wanted to, ask anything about the school. I mean, ask any questions, wanted to know what we're doing, what's going on. I can, get into some of the challenges that we're having, getting towards the end of the school year. But, I just thought I'd let you, you guys kind of take it as you feel you want to direct it. So
I'll start off with what are the grade schools and the junior high schools or middle schools, I guess they're called now, in the high schools. What are they doing with education now versus in the school and distance learning? And what is the hopefully long range plan for the fall for all of the school districts?
Right. Well, right now we're still in our hybrid schedule, which means we have roughly half our students come on Mondays and Wednesdays. The other half come on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then we alternate those groups every other Friday. So that means roughly half the kids that are not currently all remote in their learning. We still do have, I don't want to say a significant, but we still have quite a few kids that are all remote for their learning, but that means roughly half the kids are coming to our school at least 2 days a week, sometimes 3 days a week. So, we've been very fortunate, I think, because, with all the, the COVID spread, how it started off kind of slowly in this area, and then it unfortunately gained momentum and we had more and more cases. Until recently, the schools have been very, very fortunate because we haven't had any spread through the schools. We have had no transmissions from the school. And I think that's mainly because of all of our safety protocols that we've put in that we continue to stick to. I bring that up because, our goal, hopefully for the fall, is that we're going to get all of our students back full time. That is our goal. That is the best way that students learn, is if they can be here every day. Right now there are some drawbacks to our hybrid schedule, for many reasons. Our biggest ongoing issue is trying to keep kids engaged. We have it's no surprise to any of you here that we have we're a very high risk district for a lot of reasons. And when we can't have kids here, they suffer in a lot of ways, not just academically, but with all the other supports that the school can give. And, they rely on the school so much, for everything. From meals to, to care during the day, to their activities that they're involved in all through the day and into the evenings. We have, our other agencies that come to the school to meet with kids. And if we can't get them here all the time, they start to really, really falter in a lot of different areas. So our goal for the fall is to get all these kids back, but again, that's going to depend on, where we're at with this pandemic, how New York State and the CDC can come together with their, the different guidelines, the different protocols that, they're looking at. And, but we're fairly confident that it will happen.
My last question is, do you have any estimate of how many students have been lost? How many high school students have been lost this year?
Well, the ones that I guess if I had to consider them lost, I'd say the percentage is fairly low, and those kids are the ones that we just have not heard from. All right. We've gone to some real significant lengths. We send people out every single day to houses, to addresses, to find out if kids and families are, still living in the area. What we found out is that a lot of kids have left. A lot of families have uprooted and moved somewhere else, probably because they've lost jobs. They need to move in with different family members, just all kinds of reasons. We have a lot of kids that are, they move away and they're still interacting via Zoom with their teachers and with their classes. We have kids that are doing their classwork from places like New Jersey, Puerto Rico, you name it. So luckily for us, I'd say most of the kids that we're kind of struggling with, they're still interacting some, but we want them to interact a lot more. We're just, it's just right now it's kind of hit and miss, and kids can't be successful in that manner. So again, we continue to try to get them involved and get them to interact, because we want them to be successful and pass. It's really frustrating when you have kids that are juniors and seniors. Graduation is, right there. It's, they can touch it, they can reach out and touch it, but they're kind of falling behind because of this, the way that our schedule unfortunately has to run right now. So, again, it's but just all the kids that we've, completely lost, I'm happy to say that that's fairly low.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dana, I have a question about having taught a lot of years on the college and university level. I think of high schools as kind of a feeder institution to college. And one of the things I'm wondering about is we've been in this situation for a while now. Do you have any sense at all about how this is affecting college entrance, both as far as what colleges are looking for, if they've changed, and whether or not kids are taking their college entrance exams and how those scores are looking?
Well, it's changed a lot. We've, some of the tests that are required for college have been canceled over the last year. The SATs and that type of thing. The different placement exams haven't been able to be held. But and then all the way down to our Regents exams. That I realize are more of a New York thing, but it's we haven't had those for over a year now. So. Colleges right now are struggling also, for a lot of reasons. They're, I have two, actually one daughter that's still in college right now, and they're in the same boat, so I really think that the most of our kids that are moving on to college, I have the confidence that they are going to be successful in college. I think most of them still have, they've built those skills that they'll need. My main concern for our schools moving forward, is, the younger grades, the formative ages where kids are missing out on a lot of, the basics that they really need, that even during non-pandemic times, we always worry about younger kids that don't reach different reading levels and
right
levels at the when they should, and start to fall behind. Right now, I'm very, very concerned, within the next few years, as kids begin to move from elementary to middle school and middle school to high school, that we're going to have some very, very big gaps. I'm really hoping that we have that summer leap program that the district participates in. I hope that the participation is going to be really, really good, so some of these kids can build on some of these these skills that they're missing out on, because that's going to be crucial. It's, I can't even really say it enough. So, but I think our kids at the high school I think they'll be all right, so.
Well, what we're doing there is pretty much across the board, like everybody in the country is doing, and there's nothing unique about our approach here in town, is there?
No, and that's what I'm always doing my best to continue to remind our our faculty, our teachers. It's been a very, very frustrating time for them. They've had to do a lot of things that have pulled them out of their comfort zone. I think they've learned things that are really going to help them in the long run as we're moving into trying to be more focused as a school on technology, on the use of technology and how that can benefit students even during a normal, whatever that means nowadays, schedule that we hope to get back to. But it's been very, very frustrating for teachers, and I continuously remind them that it's not, don't feel like you're alone in this. Every school in our area, every school in our state, every school in our country is really having the exact same problems, and that's not really something to be happy about. But we're still trying to pull the positives out of what we're going through, and I do think that once we are able to get back to a normal type schedule, that everybody in our building is going to be much more ready to work on certain things, work on things that we need to improve, we need to change, because I think their focus is going to be much clearer. And so again, it's just turning that positive spin and trying to work through those frustrations that everybody has.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Ruth, looks like you have a question.
Yeah, sort of building on that, I was wondering what the issues are, or actually what the takeaways are, positive things that you are wanting to integrate going forward.
Yeah, I don't know if, I'm sure you guys all remember back when you're in school, and some of the grading procedures that schools follow, they really, truthfully haven't really changed all that much in many schools. One of the problems that we find, especially in a high-risk school district, is, you have scoring anywhere from 0 through 100. That's the grading area. But 0 to 65, that whole range is generally a failure. We're trying to get, redo some of our grading practices. We want to be more focused on, really assessing what kids are learning, and making that the focus. What are kids learning? What do they know? What can they do? Not make the grading based on so many other criteria, because, sometimes that just kind of muddles the whole process. We want to get into standards-based grading, so I think that this whole process is allowing us to get into this this type of movement. We had some criticism, last year, mid-March, COVID hits and, the schools close. There was the feeling that we had something set up where everyone was just going to pass, and, again, we wanted to, make sure that we were giving every kid the ability to pass, and that we didn't want a whole lot of failures. But now I think that's kind of continued, with some kids thinking that, well, they'll just, they'll let us pass and we'll get through. We don't have to do a lot, but we're trying to tell the kids that also, you need to really focus on what you're being asked to learn, what you're being asked to know. And that's how you're going to be assessed. It's not just, you didn't hand in your homework, so you got this 0, then you didn't hand in this homework and you had a 0, and that's going to negatively skew your grades. This is just a whole process, because believe me, we have teachers that really, really want to cling on to those, those ways of thinking. They figure this is how we grew up, this is what we went to school with, but again, we have to continue to, evolve into, what is being asked today of, of the schools and that type of thing. Beyond that, like I mentioned, our move towards technology. We found that with, the advent of, Zoom, Google Classroom, some of the other, technological advances that all of our teachers have become much more adept at, This is something that we can use even when kids are back to school. I mean, the ability to record a lesson and post it on Google Classroom. That's something where, a lot of kids that have attention issues, they can go back on their own time when they're home with their own device and rewatch a lesson, something that where they can do that at their own pace, and that helps them to internalize it, to learn it much, much better than just sitting in a classroom. Did you get it? Maybe not. And people are moving on, so there's a lot of benefits to that type of thing also.
And on a different note,
Yep.
Before COVID,
Yeah.
I think the school was having some real issues with violence in the schools.
Mhm.
And since the kids have been out, there, of course, has been the Black Lives Matter locally and nationally. How are you going to address and integrate diversity into the school?
Our district has developed a district equity team, and branching out from that is equity teams for all of our schools. We all have committees, that are focused specifically on ideas of equity amongst all populations within the school, making sure that everybody, the lesser served populations historically, are getting access to everything that we have as a school, whether it's academic, whether it's our extracurriculars, everything that we can, and we're trying to work that through with our community too. So many of the things that we've wanted to do have not been able to happen because of some of these restrictions, but again, we're putting a lot of things in place to try to give everyone a voice. Some of our teachers have different classes. One of our teachers, Betsy Robert, she has a Justice for All class that is very, very involved with all kinds of different topics, different equity topics, and I think it's something that we're going to, again, we're pulling kids in to get them, get their voice heard. So, and I think we're at a good point where kids want to be involved in this. It's the same deal. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of the violence that took place, and but again, instead of focusing on that, we want to focus on, what can we take positively out of this? How can we grow? How can our kids grow, our school grow? Hopefully, that allows us to help the community grow also. So again, we want to hopefully make it known to everyone that we're very, very open to all kinds of new ideas, and not because we're very, very reflective. We understand that we've lagged behind in a lot of these situations. We really have. And I don't think it was done maliciously, but it was just, people, we get set in our ways. The school is no different. We do things, and we don't always look at that broad, spectrum of how we're, how we're preparing kids, how we're including kids, and that's what we really, really want to focus on. So again, we're taking positives out of this whole situation. I think it's going to make our school much stronger in the long run.
Stacey, you've got a hand raised, and then I also saw Randy waving at the camera there.
Yes, I had a question about vaccinations. Are all the teachers required to take a vaccination? And I know hopefully by the fall time, the children will also have the vaccination. But I'm just curious about if the teachers bring something into the school and they haven't gotten vaccinated.
Yeah, that's something that we're still waiting for, ongoing guidance. We're in a place where, we're really not allowed to even ask teachers, have you been vaccinated? Are you getting vaccinated? Anything like that at this particular point. But I have the same questions that you have, Stacey, moving forward. It's, you know, what is going to be the expectation once vaccinations are available for everyone? You know, I mean, we have so many other vaccinations that are required for kids to come to school. You know, is this going to be like that? You know, I mean, I would hope, I really do think most of our teachers, I don't know of any that aren't getting that vaccination. I'm talking about the high school. We've had a couple teachers that at the beginning of this school year, they taught all remotely because of different health concerns that they have themselves, but they've received their vaccinations. Now they say, I'm comfortable coming back to school. So now they're back here working in person in front of their classroom. So I think that's a really good sign, and I'm hoping it continues. I do think that regardless of what happens next fall, that we're still going to use a lot of all of our safety protocols. You know, I'm sure you guys have all, you know, been seeing kind of the CDC versus New York State Education Department about the distancing of desks and all that. Is it 6 feet? Is it 3 feet? You know, we're in a tough spot at the high school. You know, we have very, very small classrooms that we're in an old building. Difference between 6 feet and 3 feet might help us some. We might be able to get some more kids back, but as far as getting all of our kids in every class back in the classroom on that same day with those restrictions, whether it's 6 feet or 3 feet, that's going to be hard. If you could come in, and a lot of you have been in our building probably at various times, and you see how crowded some of those classrooms are, it's pretty difficult. So again, I do think that we're going to continue to distance for now. We're going to continue, you know, into the fall with the distancing, masks, you know, keeping those things in play, because again, I do think that we as a school have been very, very safe, and I want to continue that.
Dana, I think this is Randy Sweeney.
All right.
I want to thank you for everything you've done in this last year. None of us on this call could ever imagine what you've gone through with just scheduling itself and trying to make sure that the schedule, you know, fits the hybrid model of the day. And then if you said, okay, we're going to bring everybody back, and the scheduling rearrangement, none of us could ever understand that. I've had a couple conversations with people, and they say you just can't imagine one little thing and how the domino effect affects so much else. And I wonder, you know, the student that you talked about a little earlier, you know, that isn't quite where they need to be. Are you holding some of those back to, you know, and I don't know how that would happen exactly in the world the way we know it. And then what happens come September? You know, I'm a teacher. I have a new group of students, and some aren't anywhere near where they need to be. And I know that's always a concern, but is it going to be a lot worse? And would that whole grading schedule and more that traditional way of addressing the performance of a student, are we going to go back to more of that? Or I know you had indicated that sort of looking at the student and their performance a little differently. I guess I'm trying to think a year from today, which nobody can predict, you know, what might it all look like? And again, I'm all for trying to get our students as prepared as humanly possible to meet that outside world. That was always my goal in what I did there at the foundation. But if you got any thoughts on any of that, or if not, you know, next person.
No, you hit it on the head. You really did. It's been a real major struggle. You know, the scheduling has just been, I won't even get into it. It's just been so nuts. Luckily, I got some really great people with me. My assistant principals, I have Tom Langworthy, I have Allison Smith. They're great hard workers, great minds. You know, they've really done a great job. You know, again, I guess, you know, the only way I can answer that question is we're kind of in that position to wait and see. Okay. A lot of what we do is based on what the state's going to do. I'm sure some of their assessments are going to have to be altered to some extent because, you know, moving forward, if we're continuing with Regents exams, which I think we will, you know, I don't know what their long-term future is. But, again, I think statewide, especially in the bigger cities, you're going to have some kids that are really, really they're going to be behind to the point where it's going to impact how they proceed through high school. I think that's something we might have to vary with our approach. In most years we'll have 8th graders. We have a lot of 8th graders, some handfuls of the advanced placement 8th graders that will take the Algebra 1 and Living Environment Regents exam as 8th graders, okay? So naturally the push is have freshmen take those courses when they get to the high school, take those classes, take that Regents exam. There might be some kids that we don't want to push them right into that. We want them to, maybe get some of the other classes, get their feet under them at high school. High school is a tough transition year for a lot of kids. Sometimes I'm kind of the feeling sometimes our middle schools aren't really rigorous enough to really prepare some of the kids for what they're going to be facing when they get to the high school. And all of a sudden it's like, you need to pass these classes, you need to pass these exams, or else you don't move on. And that's kind of a hard thing for them to, grasp once they get here. They go, oh man, I thought I was doing so good in middle school, but now, geez, I'm falling behind and all this kind of stuff. So, it might mean that we have to have some kids maybe just take one class as a freshman, maybe take a living environment, maybe as a junior, or a sophomore or a junior or something. Just spread it out a little bit more so we can get them everything that they need, but maybe not just try to, kind of get them all jammed up, right from the get-go, because that causes frustration. It's going to cause more frustration probably next year. And we don't want kids just saying, I'm done with it, I ain't going, when can I quit? That's the last thing we want.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask about one of the foundations of education is that if a student doesn't have access to nutrition, education becomes hard. And I know the school has had a program to help with that. And unfortunately, Jamestown in this area even has a few pretty significant food deserts. And a number of families can't provide very well. How has that program gone on, and what do you see for the future there?
Well, I only see that need growing, and I only see us doing more and more for kids, for families. Right now we're trying to provide as many meals as we can for kids. We give them, when they leave. Right now our kids are leaving middle of the day, in our hybrid schedule. They leave around noon. They go downstairs, they pick up their lunch ready to go. They also get their breakfast for the next day to take with them. Okay, I don't know how all of them use it. Maybe they all gobble it down before they even get halfway home. I don't know. But, that's our idea, is to continue to give them as many meals as we can. On the weekends, we give them food that can get them into the weekend and help with that. We've had, food box distributions, for the families, but I only see that increasing, okay? Because again, that's just one of the biggest needs that this city has. And, we can't be successful with kids if they're coming in hungry, if they're feeling hungry, if they're not well nourished. That's obviously one of the biggest building blocks that there is for healthy kids that are going to do well in school. So I only see us really, really ramping up those efforts, however that might look. I will say that, we are, our school board is in the midst of trying to approve a capital project. I know Dr. Whitaker, our superintendent, he probably spoke to that to some extent with you when he was on with you. I think tomorrow night the school board is going to try to approve what they're going to put forth to the voters on May 18th. Our needs for this capital project at the high school are tremendous. I've talked about our small classroom sizes. one of the things that we're going to, want to do if we're fortunate enough to get this capital project passed, which again has no impact on the tax base here. It'll have no impact at all on the tax base, but we want to make the classrooms larger. We realize that, again, this might be another way that teachers are going to have to look at differently at how they do things. It might mean that, where teachers have had their own classroom, we might have to move into something where they have a common area to work between classes, but the classroom is going to be used by different classes throughout the school day, because we want bigger classrooms where kids can spread out. You can have more group activities. It's not everybody packed in one little room, so that capital project will answer, those concerns. We have some of our walls are falling down. You guys probably all know our auditorium. It's a beautiful auditorium that is that's really, really showing its age, starting to kind of fall apart. We want to update that. Our cafeteria is just, it's the same cafeteria. If you guys went to Jamestown High School, it's the same one you guys sat in. Things just, we haven't had an ability to improve a lot of these things. Our HVAC systems, our heat and our air. I always make the joke. It's not really that funny, I guess, but our heat works in the summer and our cooling works in the winter. That's very, very backwards. It's not a good way to have kids come in comfortable. Again, September rolls around, this building can get really, really hot because we don't have consistent climate control in our building. Our roof is old. Our roof, I think, is 25 years old. Our windows are 35 years old. There's just so many things that we need, so again, that's going to be coming up, if, I know they're going to be putting out more information on that capital project, but again, if we're fortunate to get that passed, like I said, no impact on taxpayers in our area, that'll be really, really big step to allowing us to, really improve ourselves, our access to Wi-Fi, to all our PA systems, a secure vestibule, a secure entry to our main doorways. All those things are part of this plan, and then moving forward, it's kind of a 5-year plan and another 5-year plan. I think it's going to be something that'll really make the school look much, much better, and hopefully it'll coincide with some projects that the city will have in place. We want to, make our backfield more accessible to our marching band and some of these other groups that need areas to rehearse and that type of thing. We want to make a whole music suite for our band and chorus and all those groups to be located in the same area and have access to that backfield. We want to improve our parking and maybe on both sides of the building. So like I said, it's exciting, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to move forward with that.
I have a question.
Sure.
Play is as important as what are you planning for prom? Is there any indication that there might be a prom?
Yeah, this is the time of year where, just like last year, I mean, everybody was getting very, very, I'll say anxious, and that's putting it mildly. A lot of the parents were very, very concerned about what was going to happen with, I mean, this was supposed to be the week again of our battle of the classes. It would have been this Wednesday. Prom, graduation, all those types of things. Again, our plan is to have those events. I think we're looking better than we wound up looking last year. Last year, we wanted to have everything as much as we could, but it was like that great unknown. you know, everyone thought, you get to, you know, maybe towards the beginning of June, it'll be done with. You get towards the end of June, it'll all be gone. You know, it just did not work out that way. So that impacted what we could do. You know, prom, we want to have an event for the seniors where they can get dressed up, you know, and, you know, do those types of things. It will probably wind up looking different because obviously I don't believe we'll be able to have dancing or anything like that. We can't have, you know, the different venues. They're not really allowing people to rent those out for these types of events because of the restrictions that they have. So it's going to look different, but we're really working on those types of things. You know, our varsity football, that starts this Friday with their first game. Even though we can't have fans, you know, except for, you know, a couple parents or guardians per player, you know, we're still moving forward with our homecoming court, letting our seniors vote on that type of thing, you know, and having a king and queen. We're still working towards, you know, seeing what we can do for graduation. Last year we had a different type of graduation that nobody knew what to expect, but I think it went really well. We're not ruling out using Chautauqua Institution, which is where we always want to be able to have our graduation because it's such a nice environment for that event. You know, but again, it's going to depend on, you know, how can we run it? You know, how can we meet the guidelines that Chautauqua has, that the state has, that everybody has, and still meet our you know, what we want to do. You know, it's something that I know it's hard for some people to sometimes realize is, you know, we have a lot of small school districts around our area that have a lot more flexibility. You know, if you're graduating 25 kids, you know, you can do a lot of things because you fall in under the different you know, requirements for you know, how many people can attend these different things and be in attendance and whatever. You know, when we have over 300 kids that are potentially going to graduate, you know, that just means we kind of take ourselves out of a lot of possible, you know, events that we want to plan. You know, we have to really use our imagination, but we have some good people working towards it. I'm going to have our PE teachers working towards having some sort of a modified battle event so kids can compete and they can hopefully raise a little bit of money for the different causes like we do every year. That might come in May when the weather's better. We can do that outside. So things are going to look different, but we're very concerned that these, you know, all of our kids, but especially our seniors, that they're going to, you know, have some fun, that they can enjoy these events.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. You know, thank you, Mr. Williams. We appreciate your work. As you may know, one of Rotary's major international programs is the eradication of polio in the world. We are down to just 2 countries where polio still exists. And in honor and thanks for your presentation to our club today, we'll be making a donation in your name that will vaccinate 4 children who will never experience polio in their life.
That's great. I appreciate it. You know, and like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on and, you know, giving me a chance to, you know, just present some of the things that we're trying to do. It's been difficult. It's been overwhelming. You know, when I took this job, you know, I don't want anyone to think I don't love this job, because I do love it. I do love the school. I love the people I work with. I love the kids I work with. It's just the things that you're doing during a pandemic. It's things that I never in my life would have thought that I would have been doing in a school setting, you know, and the weird thing is now it's starting to feel like second nature, and I don't want it to feel second nature. I want to get back to, you know, how things will, you know, used to work in a normal schedule. And I think we're going to get there, but you know, it's been frustrating, but again, I think about all the great people that we have that are really, really working hard. We have so many good teachers here, so many good agencies that help us out. And again, we really, really appreciate the support from, you know, from community members like yourselves and everybody else. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Next Monday, we'll be hearing from Jim Parker, Digital. I know he's been with us before, but he's got some exciting things to share. You know, one of the things that I expected he would tell me is that they have grown significantly as a result of the last year, and he's got some neat things to share around virtual meetings and conference technology and things that'll be coming down the pike, as well as their involvement through the pandemic. So that's next Monday. And then remember, Rotary opens opportunities. What opportunities will you see to make your community a better place? With that, I didn't bring a bell to work, so we are adjourned.
Take care, folks. Thank you again.
Thank you.